always wants to fly out. Then you see me with. Oh, you don't see that, but oh well. Alright, people. Mohammed, good morning. Dale, good morning. Waiting for a couple people to get on. As usual, I have too much to do. It's just endless amount of stuff. There's never the most organized person in the world. Facts. We got a couple people on. Hope everybody's good. It's a beautiful day. Beautiful yesterday, beautiful morning. Feel like I should have went for a bike ride, but didn't have it in me. I was gonna do something. Getting old was tough. I forget shit like quickly. Unfortunately. What? Always something. Something. Wait for a couple people more go on before I run my mouth. Little screw. Always room to hang stuff. Three people. Wakey. Oh. Jeff. Morning. Hope everybody's well. I left my hat next door. You see my almost bald head. What's new? Anything? Uh-oh. My little freaking thing. Oh, the rubber band just left the scene. Holding this stupid thing on the... Oh, it's... Wah! Technical difficulties. This stupid thing. It's because I got that little thing on the back, and it pushes it out. So aggravating. Vacation. What's that? I need a vacation. I had a 3-day vacation. I mean, it was like Sunday was driving part of the day. We went up to Michigan, Chippewa Lake, which actually is pretty nice. A little cottage, and money was nice. Kayak most of the day, cooked out, whatever, and then Tuesday ended up raining. So playing Mega Monopoly, good part of the day. Lounge around. Then Wednesday hiking, more kayaking, eating, and drive home. So it wasn't a whole lot of vacation. And then come back to, I guess, semi-normal. My life is not normal, I don't think. This thing needs to stay. Try a different rubber band. Another one flew the coop. Trying to rig it up so it holds in place. Don't get sick on me, people. Alright, let's see if that holds for a bit. We got 4 people on. Sweet. Yes. People have, I try to tell my boys or anybody, I said, I would trade the world because I wasn't very educated type school person or anything like that. So, not a desk jockey and book smart, I guess. I'm street smart, I'd say. Hustler, workaholic, make things work somehow, some way. I like to make money and do what I like to do, typically. So, but there's pros and cons to anything. Owning your own business, there's some kind of boss because somebody's paying you for your services or your product or whatever it is. So you're answering to somebody somehow. And then, lawyers and accountants and all kinds of other crap you got to deal with. Yeah, and most people have a 40-hour-a-week job. I don't know what 40 hours is. I haven't worked a 40-hour-week job in 20-something years. I mean, even when I worked for the city part-time, sometimes that was like full-time, but that was a lot of hours between doing maintenance all day, work the city 3 to 9, 3 to 11, get up in the morning, do it all over again, and on call on the weekend. Sometimes you'd call 3 in the morning because there was a DUI, DWI, or whatever, and they'd have usually a dog in the car, and I'd had to impound it and stuff like that. And so, but yeah, there's pros and cons. I mean, you don't have benefits like you would work in a company. No hospitalization, no paid vacation. I've never had a paid vacation. I went without medical care for a long time, without dental care. I paid out of my own pocket. Then I got on Kaiser back in the day, which you kind of miss now. Sometimes it seemed like it was a pain in the ass, but you look back, it's like, oh shit. Good old days, $150, $250 a month for insurance. As a single in my 20s, whatever, 30s, whatever it was. So that's one thing. Never paid vacation. Usually go on vacation, it costs me 2, 3, 4 times the money. So I have to pay to go on vacation, normally. $9.50. Okay, I can understand that. $90. You're raking in that OT. Maybe it'd be tax free at a certain point. Yeah, I don't calculate my hours because I work. I'm up 5 this morning, 10 till 5, whatever. Desk duty. emails, bills. My bills is a part-time job. You know, that's like 20 hours, 25 hours a month just paying bills. It's stupid. You know, 5 electric bills, 5 gas bills, 3 water bills, 3 sewer bills, you know, between the buildings, business, and now, you know, and home. So, um, and I always have to file stuff and give stuff, have stuff prepped ready for the accountant. So, stuff I don't like doing. Um, Monotonous crap, but it has to be done. Um, yeah, I remember I was like 72 hours in a week. And sometimes one time I calculated how much I made. I think it was like $5 an hour at one point. Figured all the hours just out of curiosity, and what I was paying myself was like $5 an hour at some points. That was so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, I go get a job for 7, $9 an hour at the time or something. So I like being my own boss. I don't know if I could work for somebody else. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I think about like retirement, what I'm gonna do. I only want to work like Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I think like part time. Either at the shooting range, Home Depot, get discounts. Need stuff. I always need fixing something, whatever. But I just thought something like that. Something that's not stressful. If it's stressful, I don't need it. Don't want it. I don't want to have to work if I don't have to, whatever. But just to pay for gas and vacations, I guess. Try to get all the bills covered when I'm done somehow. I don't know. At my age, a lot of thinking, a lot of planning. So, what do you do, Jeff? Again, you're HVAC guy, right? If I remember right. I'm old. I can't remember much. I try to remember things. Certain things I remember like it was yesterday. But some things, top of the morning. Oh, uh, start on vacation. Hey, I remembered. Pretty good. Yeah, you're on call then. It's usually a 24/7 thing. Someone's furnace goes out. Of course, at the worst times when it's 0 degrees, or the AC's out and it's 90 to 100 degrees. It's when things break. So I'm dreading. I'm like, more money's going out than any money's coming in lately. Between like vacation, which was like a big expense, but still $1,500, $1,800. Oh, the garage door broke, which I still haven't got fixed. I'm gonna call one guy today. I think I'm gonna get it done next week. That's 1,900, basically $2,000. I just had to pay for Dylan's college for the semester. Holy crap! But the paychecks are nice. That's the way you can look at it. It's like, well, when that break time comes and having that, getting that OT. Well, I'm not sure how that works with the no tax on overtime. I think it's only like tip that no tax on tips is like 25,000. That's better than nothing. Good morning, George. Been a while. Um, I know my friend works at GM in the trades, and he works 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, all the time. He's always working. They always because he's working on the robots, fixing things, whatever. Somebody's got to constantly be there. It's always somebody has to be there. So he's like, "You want a job?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not too old to be working factory stuff. No thanks." So, yep. All right, what time is it? Let me get rolling here. I'm back in the State Road building. What's going to be SF 2.0 or SF Micro Store? I don't know what to call it. Something fishy. 2.0. I just this week I've had to run the store. So like right now I should be working on this instead of doing the show, but I'm dedicated to trying to keep the YouTube thing going. what best I can. I mean, I'm nothing fancy here, so Tuesdays and Saturdays become a norm. And I try to get more people and customers to be on like this channel, the Facebook page, because it's easy for me to talk about what's going on, hours, days, times, anything, sales or whatever it is. It just you get a broad audience in a fairly short amount of time than trying to call individually or answering calls or emails, whatever. If I could just knock out a bunch of things within a period of time, a short amount of time, at one sitting. Um, so I've been working on here as much as I can. Um, Plenty more work to do. Yes, I know my old man, my dad, worked at Chevy 38 and a half years. And I remember him having a fit, bitching. Back then, they didn't have electronic checks or whatever. You got an actual check. He would work, my dad worked like insane overtime. Same thing like my friend Rick now. Back in the day, they had like 4,800 workers. Now there's only 800. But he's been, he retired. I mean, he's passed away. It'll be 6 years this November. It's crazy. He retired, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years ago. I don't know. It would have been August 6th, he would have been 88. But I remember him just complaining. He worked all this overtime, and they'd take half of it. So it was like an even get time and a half because they took the half part. He'd work like 12 hours a day. He would work his holidays, like, they get paid whatever, 4, 6 weeks vacation, whatever it was. He'd work his vacation. So he'd get double time. I think I remember they'd work them on like Christmas Eve or Christmas or whatever, certain like holidays. They'd get like triple time. Man, they were just. Yeah, and I remember him be like, God, he's sitting in his recliner and be like, what's this bullshit? My old hillbilly dad, whatever, and be like, what the hell? I guess work all these hours and they take half the damn paycheck. What the frick is going on? This is bullshit. Have I considered real estate? Being in the real estate business? Matter of fact, I have multiple times. It's definitely because you can kind of work at your own pace. I have a client. She retired. Well, the client's a couple. She retired a few years ago, and she just does it part time for only people she knows, family, friends. A couple referrals, but it's not a full time gig. So she sells a $500,000 house, whatever. It's a nice payday. They're well off already. So that I considered, and I would consider the commercial aspect of it, being that I've been in my own commercial real estate for 20 something years, and then my first house was a double, so I was a landlord half my life. That was back in when I was 26, I think. When I bought my first house, a double. So yeah, 30 something years. Yeah, 30 years ago. Yeah, I considered that. I don't know. That might be a nice little side gig. Just something to supplement, keep paying the bills. Now, yeah, that's a very pertinent point, George. That's a very yeah. I considered that. That's passed my mind a number of times. And I think I could. I'm a salesman by nature, I guess, since I've been in retail for 40 years. I had a friend. Um, Thank you, George. Thanks for looking out. I have a friend. He's like top in the state, Ohio. Rich. He played football in the park and all that stuff. Big guy. He's a couple years younger than me. I know I had him help me do some um, construction jobs, and I worked for this guy. I had him. He was a big guy and another football player. Carry shingles. Back in the day, you had to carry this shit up. I get tired of carrying this stuff up, and Joe's like, "Get a couple of your buddies. I'll pay them. You know, this is like 30 something years ago, whatever. I'll pay him $7 an hour plus a case of beer and lunch every day." I'm like, okay, hey Rich, hey Jim, I think there's the other one. I'm like, hey, you guys want to make some side money and 12 pack and lunch every day? Oh yeah, just keep carrying the shingles up. You guys got to carry up the roofing material. Back in the day, they didn't have lifts and stuff, so he got into it. He's big time. I have. I'm in Meigs County, George. Um, I would get in land real estate. That's, oh my gosh, the land. If I would have known what I know now, oh my gosh, 30 plus years ago, I would have bought all the real estate around Ohio University. I would have bought all the land in southern Ohio. I would have made Bill Gates blush. I don't know. If I would, real estate, real estate's done me pretty well. I wouldn't have got this far if it wasn't from real estate. Um, and I'm no, you know, brainiac, but I know, old school, um, learned on the, on the fly, I guess, just season and experience. So I'm not sure if the commercial. I'm gonna have to ask my broker. That's I got my building for sale through. Rob, nice guy. Um, Absolutely. I just took Dylan down back to school on Thursday. Well, he drove. He's got his own house now. Right at what was that, Station Street, whatever, right down the street from the diner. Um, he's got his car, but I had my van full of some of the stuff, office chair and a bunch of whatever. So he's got a house with two buddies there. Um, yeah. So there's a train of thought. Yeah, land. But Rich, he's been like top in the state of Ohio. He's done really well. He was doing I don't know what other jobs. I don't know, like backbreaking, but you start getting your 40s, 50s, it's you can't be doing like construction and hard labor. It takes a toll on you. Even doing this, it's killing me. I have a hard time doing maintenance. I don't know how much longer I can keep. I was planning on keeping the maintenance going for another couple years, but I don't know. Unless there's some kind of miracle, super relief, something that I get rid of these tendonitis, arthritis, shit. Yeah, I don't know. Well, if I could keep the side, this is going to be like a side gig, more or less, down the road. See how it goes. If it's making some money, it's paying some bills. I don't plan on getting rich from this little storefront, but keep a couple guys going, and then I could do other things. The dojo next door is rough. I'm on the fence right now what to do. Actually, I need to work on that. I want to sub rent it out like during the day, during the week, maybe on Sundays to like someone that does yoga, jiu-jitsu, judo, tai chi or something. A customer gave me a good idea, which I've been wanting to do is like first aid certification classes and stuff, which I've been wanting to do all those kind of classes because I'm into tactical stuff and everything and outdoors and on my travels. I've always wanted to get certified in trauma situations and stuff like that, catastrophes or whatever. Knowledge is power. If it's better to know and not know. Like if I have to save my family or do something or rescue and um, whatever. It'd be. I think that's everybody should kind of have that knowledge. I think that's competent, whatever. But yeah, there's there's a lot of things. There's always ways to make money, and there's always way to spend it and waste it. um, let's look around. I do want to. This place is a mess. I mean, if anybody's been keeping track, it's getting there. I got that's. I could open that up real quick. I've gotten stuff on the shelves. Let me turn around. All right. Whoa. All right. So you look at it. That's the last couple out clear with tens. Anybody who's been keeping tabs on me, watching. Probably not doing Hagen no more. They got in the bed with the devil, one of the biggest distributors, which they're hemorrhoids. I don't care for them. They jacked up the prices. It's ridiculous. So extreme. That's where the food's gonna be. Other foods will be on the bottom. I'll get the heaters up on top. I'm low on inventory, of course. I haven't did any orders, and it's been a challenge now because we have less to sell. Um, yeah, I do have fish over here. Some of these fish were from the 500 that was in there. The 450 is going to go over there. I'm ready to bring that over any day now. I just gotta line up enough people. There's definitely like 4 or 5 people to get that tank. We'll just bring it in from the trailer, whatever, and put it on dollies, roll it up, pick it up, and put it up on top of that base, which is only like 2 feet off the ground. This big boy here, this is going to be the bagging table, which is a mess. Oh, look at him freak out. That big arrow is probably 30 inches. Those dollars, black belts, are massive. They're like piranhas, eating machines. But I would sell these. I just kind of time to move on. If somebody wants those, the 4 big, beautiful black belt dollars and the Arowana for $600, cashola. I'm gonna use that tank as a grow out. I was gonna move them into the 450, give them a bigger tank, but I have some of those Bino Blackfin Oscars downstairs and a Cabaret Peacock Bass, and then the big chocolate cichlid, some Severums. I'm gonna put in the 450. I'm gonna grow out a bunch of South American stuff in there, a bunch of fish instead of having that big beast there. So if somebody's got, a 300-gallon or a wide tank, it's got to be at least 3 foot wide, to handle that fish. That's gonna be fun getting it out of there. But yeah, I might adapt to change. Selling dry goods has become a challenge. And I'm telling you, online's not always cheaper, people. I was just comparing prices. To be honest, I actually raised some prices this week. Some of my prices was so much less than Amazon, and I'm still less than Amazon. I'm like, because I bought some of the stuff a while ago. I bought in bulk or when it was on sale or whatever. Before COVID. I have inventory, and what the cost is now for things, I'm like, holy crap. So I'm adjusting, but I'm still competitive. And I know convenience. I'm expecting stuff from Amazon today. They have these magnets I found on there. Like, I got these little magnet hooks. These things are heavy duty. I got my cheaters on here. Super strong. Well, they have peg ones I found on there. Like a peg, like on the slat wall. But they have like 3-inch peg, and some of them can hold like 100 pounds. It's crazy. So I'm going to use them inside to hang stuff. Like I put the feeder. So the substrate's going to be down here and over there. Pumps and air filters. Little tank kits, stuff like that. That's my protein. Bulk stuff, overstock is up on top. This shelf, I think I'm going to put decoration. Um, the 450, and then maintenance supplies, lighting, and plastic plants and stuff over there. Poco's going to be there. I got to redo that, redo the bench. It's a mess. I got to redo that whole thing. I don't know. That mess is going to come out. Some tanks, there's a 75 I'll probably sell in there. Stand. Just too much shit. This is going to be the community fish, more or less. So, which I got a bunch of fish in here. I take some over there to sell because fish is selling more than anything. So it's a challenge because I want to break down the tanks. Look at the little severums having a lip lock match. And they're only like 50-cent piece size. Those are orange shoulders, golds, the beloved chocolate cichlids. So, yeah. I could, set up tanks back up there. I could add more tanks, top and bottom, if need be. We'll see. And I just have less dry goods. I'm cutting back way back. This is going to be all the water treatments, chemicals, medications, filter medias. The rocks and wood will go down there. More filter media up there. So, I mean, I'm good at getting stuff in places, what they call merchandising now, I guess. More of a proper term. So, but man, it's a lot of work. That I'm gonna put big decoration up there. That shark is mine. That's not for sale. Parts, whatever, over there. This is gonna be the counter. That stuff is my TPS. That's a future business that I really like to get more into as another side business, selling knives and survival kits and first aid and camping type stuff, whatever, bug out bags. That was supposed to be going early this year until things changed, and I had to get pulled back into the fish business more. So, do you plan on to lean into just selling what you breed and supplementing what is necessary? Good question, George. We're gonna go down the hatcheries, do a quick run. I don't know. I'm actually wanting to get rid of more stuff. I'm not breeding as much. I let a lot of stuff go. That might be that one and that one. That might be the only 3 wild Nangus left. The other ones are like F1s. They're offspring. Think about selling this group. They haven't bred in a while. Now I say that, they'll probably show up babies next week. Murphy's Law. Yeah, I'm cutting way back. I do want to breed this fish. This is one of my goals. Jeffreyum. It's in the Feste family, South American. They get big, 18, 20 inches. I want to breed that fish. I love that fish. I bought those. They're kind of expensive, little babies, not even an inch. And I have a group here. So, been working. It's a mess. I try to do stuff as I can. So this is open. That one will be open. That tank is open. So all these tanks right here, 55, 75s, are going to be for fish shipments. So down these bottom tanks will end up being open, empty tanks. And I'm going to use those for when I get fish shipments in. So like I have maybe a shipment I've been trying to get for a month, import. Biggest pain in the ass. I'm getting like a ton of bushy-nosed plecos, angels, stuff like that. So they'll fill these tanks. I get a cichlid shipment in. They'll be down here. And so there's only 10-gallon tanks mostly up there. So it's a 15s. So when we sell stuff, we just resupply the tank from down here. So like we'll put one color male peacock of each. Oh, there's a big mouthful. That little female Kapampa F1 holding. Sweet. So of course I'm still breeding Frutosas. That's a pretty. We got babies of these little featherfin cats. I'm not going to breed as much. My old Samazi, he's getting up there. I just found babies with the F2 over there, or F1s. Burundis, Mazwas. We got a lot of baby Mazwas. Look at all the little babies in there. So, unfortunately, George, cichlid sales are not great. The cichlid hobby is drastically gone down, big time. I took a couple of Samazi babies over and some Kagomas, future breeders there. These are Kagomas, the F1s, babies galore in there. Future breeders, widows, Moriais, one soul, fluorescent, blue neon peacock. This is the other group of Kagomas, which I'm thinking about selling. There's a mouthful right there. Look at all the babies. I'm thinking about selling this colony and put something else in it. Samazis, they had babies. I just noticed yesterday. Little baby there. Little baby there. A little baby there. This is probably my favorite. Oh, there's a baby right there. My favorite Fritosa, pretty much. I love my Samazis. I want more Samazis. I like them more than just Zaires. I like the look. I like the body. But breeding, well, community fish in general, small fish, live plants, shrimp, and I'm going to tell you the reasoning behind that. The last handful of years, there's a baby, what's in there? Mazwa? Peacocks, I think. More Fritosas. This is my take on it. COVID effed up a lot of things. It still has. Oh, it's loud. Sorry. Well, this is the fish I want to put in the 450. These Oscars, that Kilbride bass, that's my favorite peacock bass. These guys have been breeding, and I never take any babies out. I think there's a female holding now. These are F1 Zaire Kapampas. Look how beautiful they are. I love Fritoshas. I mean, these are Katumbas. That's definitely a male. Really getting nice. No breeding. Katumbas hardly ever breed. I don't know why. MOBAs have a mouthful. They kind of been going back at it. Katumbas, for whatever reason, don't want to breed. These, I imported these Burundis. I was going to mix those with my breeders. Maz was in there, some Central Americans. This is the F1 Reganais, which, oh my gosh, they're getting big. I need to put them in a bigger tank. That's another fish I like to breed. You rarely see anymore. This is F1 Nangus. Look at the monster. Huge. Huge fish. Nangus right next to Samazi. Then there's the Nanu luteus. Oh, they got babies again. I gotta get those babies out. So, breeding, I think about it, it'd probably be good to get back into breeding again. More so because getting fish is getting harder and harder and more expensive. But the problem with fish, livestock, is the maintenance, the labor intensive. Look at that fish. That'll rival any saltwater fish, I say. Some odds and ends. Baby Grimauds in there. The Nagara Flametails. These are like 2-inch, 2.5 inch. Look at that little Wanda. It's hard to see back there. Permaloxolaris, I got rid of those. They died off. I had F1s. I tried multiple times I give up on that fish. I'm not. Here's B3. She's loving, or he, in the new bigger tank, the 240, and the Ripsaw's in there, and there's a Pimcat, or no, not a Pimcat. There's a Katamas, like the one I lost that was 33 years old. That one's almost the same age, I think. Yeah, there's I need to breed more of these. I let a mouthful go in the tank over there. The Walter I Peacock, which you don't see hardly at all. Bino Red Top. The Red Passion. Some babies. There's some Walter I coming up peacocks. I know I have a few people wanting those. Red shoulder and a Walter I. Dark Regani. So I just looked at a cichlid list, and oh my gosh, they raised the prices again. I'm just annoyed. Unbelievable, the cost of everything. It's maddening. I don't know. It's some of the prices out of Florida as much as my retail prices. So that's where breeding your own fish and stuff is getting scarce. So it makes me sometimes want to keep and breed more because the stuff is disappearing. You're not going to get wild imports hardly anymore. It's just not, there's not enough market to sustain importing this stuff and the risk and the cost involved. And if people don't want to buy them, spend the money, Temporalis, another one you don't see anymore. The male is the black one with the knot, and the female is this bigger one. A couple babies in here, really cool fish. Thought about selling the babies, but I might hold on to them for more breeding because I don't know if I'll ever see those again. Some empty tanks. Cute little longfin. Vale Oscar, Membenjais. I got lots of Membenjais. Beautiful sunshine. Need some females for that guy. Peacocks are too much kind of work. Oh, they got babies in here. Cygnus. They spawn. Another rare Teganican you don't see hardly. It's an old group. Albino. They've spawned once, I think, and I haven't seen any babies. Petricolas, old breeders, and there's some babies in there actually. And this beast, I got raised since a baby, Laosai or something, I think. So, but cichlid sales are tough. Obviously, I've been saying this for 2 years. This whole rack needs to come out, and I don't feel like doing it. This rack is rotted. That one's definitely rotted. So, I had to move these guys in here. Odds and ends. Empty tanks. The last year I've had more empty tanks than I've ever had. Usually always filling them up and as many tanks as possible. Yep. The Tanganyikans, yeah, a lot of stuff is gone, man. It's going to be, and all the original importers, breeders, they're all gone. They're almost all gone. I just found out yesterday morning another one that was behind the scenes. He was like a rocket scientist. I don't know. Very technical. He bred like in Florida, black ghosts, clown loaches. He got some stuff that's not easily bred in captivity. He's been doing it like 40 years. He quit, shut down. He's moving to Japan or something, I was told. I gotta finish this up right here in the wall tank. Freaking catfish, knocking shit down. The 265 in the dojo. Yeah, I never knew him. I've seen some videos here and there, know of him. I know some of the distributors obviously were getting the fish from him. He bred and just sold to those other like fish farmers, distributors, and stuff that sell to the pet shops, fish stores, whatever. So, yeah, he quit. He's gone. Um, Leif is gone. Rick is going to be gone. One of my old-time breeders, I have dealt with him a couple years. He's in his 80s. It was too much, too hard. Definitely got a lot of good Teganikans back in the day. He's the only one that had like pearly white Calvis. Never see those again. I know the yellow Calvis. Oh my gosh. I would get baby yellow Calvis now. F1s. I would have to, after shipping all that, a baby yellow Calvis would probably be like $30, $40. He's gonna shut it down. Well, he was trying to sell it, just like I was trying to sell the retail store, which didn't pan out. People don't have money, they don't have credit to get financing, or they want you to finance it. And that ain't gonna happen. Anybody's got any brains, not gonna do that. I've seen enough in my years in this type of business and other businesses where they owner financed and then it failed and they came back to everything gone in shambles, destroyed, or all gone. They sold everything, the fixtures empty, and they're out. They didn't get nowhere near the money they were supposed to get. They were supposed to get $5,000 a month. I know one particular incident, they got screwed out of $250,000, and a guy left the country and everything. So, yeah, I would not play that game. So he's selling the real estate's up for sale. You know, he's maybe a developer comes in and wants the land, and you know it's got a spring fed well water, whatever, and you're by the ocean, whatever. So you'll make more money selling the real estate than trying to sell 24/7 all year round fish farm. So yeah, he's in the 70s. He's done. I talk to him all the time. He's been trying to get me to do an oar. Absolutely, people suck more than not. I'm anti-human. No offense. That's why I want to be at my camp in peace and quiet, nature. I'm kind of done, burned out, tired, grumpy, old, getting old. Want to do other things. And that's a fish business. It ties you down. You know, if it was just dry goods, well, you could not be open for 3 days and it's not going to die. I don't need to run electricity high, you know, heat at 80 degrees. And so doing the scale I'm at, it's costly. My insurance went up, the taxes, property taxes went up. If they get rid of the damn property tax, oh, that would be huge. On commercial too, which I could see them, okay, we'll get rid of the residential property tax, but we're going to triple, quadruple commercial. Somehow they're going to cover. The school systems are broken. Don't even get me started. I watched a video popped up or something from Michigan. A lady's suing Michigan, and she's got a ton of signatures. It's so corrupt, and it sounds identical to Ohio and like Cleveland. The lottery is supposed to help fund the schools. Then casinos were help fund the schools. Or racinos was supposed to fund the school. Medical marijuana is supposed to fund the schools. And now recreational marijuana will fund schools. And I just read they just took like $97 million last quarter from the marijuana sales. Whatever. It's like $1 billion a year. Where's that freaking money? Yep, there's none of that anymore. I don't know. I am the only one that's still holding on, carrying cichlids. We've had several like locals walk in that they can't find cichlid stuff, cichlid fish, hardly. Everybody's got bread and butter, like the chain stores. I won't probably carry. I don't plan on carrying discus no more. I probably won't carry Roman nose tetras or cardinal tetras. They're too risky. They get costly. I have more dead shipments than I do have good live ones. So you need to charge if I carry them, they're going to be $10 a piece. Like a lot of other places, people said I was always like pretty good priced. Well, yeah, but I'm not making any money. I lose, one shipment out of, 4 shipments. I've lost $3,000 last shipment. How am I going to make that up with one shipment? You want to try to break even? Well, that's you stupid. You're not in business to break even. You got to make money. You typically want to grow and keep paying everything on the overhead and all that stuff. So if it's not profitable, it's not viable. So, yeah. So the cichlid business is dead. Like my friend Dan quit over a year and almost 2 years ago. The Central American business, cichlids, importing, collecting. It's just not worth it. And dealing with people, he's not even in business, and people still freaking call and email him. They'll like message him at freaking 1 o'clock in the morning. People, get a life. Holy shit. I get it, and he can't stand it anymore. He don't even want. We don't hardly ever talk about fish. We'll talk about other stuff, politics or weather and business and other things and the stock market, whatever, and current events and traveling and whatever. So we get annoyed about the fish business. He don't even want to deal with like hardly fish anymore. He still has his own personal stock, some rare stuff he'll breed, but people are not. Well, here's the other George talking about cichlid sales in general and stuff, and the people don't have big tanks no more hardly. You can't buy big tanks on a regular basis no more. Seaport did away with the 265. I guess they got rid of the 225. The biggest tank now is a 180. Aquian eliminated the 180. They still have the 210, 150, 125. They discontinued the 120, the 4x2x2. They got rid of all the bow fronts. They got rid of all the corner tanks. So it's almost like they cater just the common everyday tanks, 10 gallon, 20 gallon, 29, 55, and 75, maybe 125 for the general sales like Petco, PetSmart, everyday like tanks. They don't want to do anything different. You're going to have to order it custom and spend out the rear end on a custom tank. Unless you find a deal, like I got, speak of, a 375 gallon over there, 8 foot by 30 by 30 with the overflow, with a big wet dry pump, top, light, for $2,500 out the door cash. I have that new 110 set up out the door with FX, everything for $1,500 out the door. That's a deal. I just brought in like an 80-gallon custom flatback hex acrylic with the overflow and a wet dry, $600. You could probably only afford used. Petco dropped Aquian, and they probably dropped Marineland. They had Marineland when they were doing that stupid buck a gallon, which those tanks were half the thickness of glass. That's why they all leaked and all were problems. All the product was stupid. That's why it was so cheap. It wasn't a deal. You got crap for your money. But they do under their private label. PetSmart has their own private label. What is it called? Top Fin, which is made by Marineland. So sometimes they don't make their own tanks and stuff. And I found out this year, the glass now is not, it's the tanks, nothing is made in the U.S. They're assembled here. The glass, the frames, all that shit comes from China. So, yeah, it's dumb. It's all dumb. Holy crap, almost 9 o'clock. Almost an hour. Too long. I was trying to do a half hour. See? They dropped them pre-tariff to ship in direct from China. Wow. The hobby won't die. The hobby is dying, in my opinion. It won't be totally gone. It will be a niche. Like I had a customer email looking for like black umbies or something, like Central Americans. I said, that's a niche fish. It's going to be harder and harder to find that fish. It'll be, here and there, you'll find somebody bred them, have a batch of babies, and that's it. Um, it won't be totally gone unless you get some crazy in the government, which we have to watch for, that wants to eliminate the pet industry. There's a few out there. They think you should only have one dog, one cat. That's it. Unless you're a farm, then you're limited to how many horses and sheep and dogs and pigs you can have, whatever. So there's some crazy ones out there that their mindset's stupid. Yeah. So yeah, and what the problem is also is you don't have the youth. We're losing hobbyists because it's an older generation. I was talking to an older gentleman customer yesterday. I said 30, 40 and up is the majority in the hobby. Younger, we have some younger customers, far and few though, here and there. And do they stay in it? Yeah, some people might have more tanks than 30, 40 years ago. I mean, I had 40 years ago, at least 40 years, before I started working at Pellet, 40 years, 1985. I had 33 tanks in my parents' basement before I eventually got kicked out. Then I don't know how many tanks, a dozen tanks in my apartment. Then my first house, I had 100 tanks. So, facts, Jeff. Facts. And they're breeding more mental deranged loonies, I call them. Left nuts, whatever. So, yep. So that's another thing that's always knocking on the door, trying to pass more laws. I mean, stuff keeps popping up. They're banning this, they're banning that. You don't even know it became law. They just do it sneak it into a bill or something, and all of a sudden, trapdoor snails are illegal. This they want to make illegal. Crayfish they want to make illegal. They keep, a lot of that shit won't survive. Most anything tropical. I used to be an animal control officer, so I used to work with Division of Wildlife, ODNR, Ohio Division of Natural Resources, and all that stuff. And sometimes they still contact me on occasion if they find something in the Rocky River or something that's obviously not indigenous, it's invasive, or somebody dumped something off, let loose something. But that shit will die as soon as it hits 50 degrees, whatever, 60, 50s, and the freezing. When it freezes, nothing. African cichlids, pacu, prana, caiman, whatever, it's all going to die. Unfortunately, it's not fair to the animal. The people that did that should probably go in there and freeze and die, in my opinion, but that's another story. So, the hobby there was something popped up on Facebook early in the week, and oh man, I wanted to chime in, but I was on the road. It was early in the morning, Wednesday morning, I think. There was a guy interviewing a store owner maybe or something. They was saltwater based, talking about, the industry, the hobby, the business, whatever, and talking about, not many young people in it. Like, I'm 56, whatever, like the old days, whatever. And this guy says, oh, I don't believe any of that, whatever. He thought, puppy dogs and ice cream type of mentality, I think. There's a lot of salespeople in the industry that act like that, talk like that, say like that. But in reality, good morning, Two Turtle Tom. But in reality, I get it. They have to make sales. They have to sell their product line. They have to, back their companies, whatever it is. And they're just trying to make sales because that's how they're making a living. So they're gonna blow it up, and it's all rainbows and puppy dogs and everything's great. But in reality, nope. So they're kind of lying, unfortunately. But I get it because that's their living. So, yeah, it's not the same. It is definitely changing. To be in the business, like if someone wanted to buy, I had a couple of good candidates that would if they could have bought my store, would have best case scenario. One did maintenance or whatever in his 30s, but he didn't have credit or a credit. You have to have a good credit score to get a loan, and didn't have money or whatever. And he brought up owner financing. I'm like, no, I have a deal on the building, a lease option to buy the building. You pay a rent, lease, monthly, plus 1,000 on top of that. That goes toward um, purchase price, like a down payment. So it helps maybe getting the financing, getting the business going. If it doesn't work out, I have the money in my pocket at least, and they move on to whatever. So that's an option to get somebody in the door, get them maybe established, and then get it sold. Yeah, you know how many people get in it and crash and burn fast? I see it all the time. I've seen people go bankrupt. It's like a drug. Some people are in the shoes, cars, whatever it is, guns, whatever. Uh, they go freaking balls to the wall in the hobby and buy everything. I mean, in like their first year, 2 years, they're just hooked. 2, 3 years, gone. It's all gone. They get in a fight with the wife, whatever. It's too much. The electric bill is $500 a month. Uh, they can't go on vacation. Somebody's got to come in because they got 50 tanks going in the basement, the garage, or whatever. Uh, Thank you, Jeremy Wade. Yeah, I liked it. I liked that show. That was one of the old good shows. I had some knucklehead call. Well, you talk about a rant. There's a rant. Do not call me at the shop and have kids or people in the background blah, 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 just carrying on. And I'm like, what? And it's probably a young guy, goofball, watching YouTube or whatever and all this crap. I'm looking for red-tailed cats, tiger shovel nose. Do you got pacu, whatever? No. Do you got any stingrays, fire eels? No. I don't sell those. Fire eels I will sell. I will get those back in, hopefully. But red-tailed cats, absolutely not. Pacu should not be sold in the hobby. Absolutely not. Um, Knife fish, pretty much don't sell. Iridescent sharks should not be sold unless you have the ability to house and maintain them and the money. Um, yeah, going back to that scenario, I told the guy, I said, I would not open up a store in today's world. The cost of everything is double, triple than it was years ago. Um, and you're starting out. I've been there, done that. I had to borrow one time my first pet shop, the June. It was so slow. I had to borrow like $1,500 to my dad to pay my bills, pay rent and stuff. My rent was like 1,000 a month, and my utility it was like 1,500 a month. The utilities and rent, I was in the hole. I mean, I drained my savings. I sold my Camaro, got rid of my crotch rocket. Had a used Aerostar piece of shit van. I mean, at 22 years old, I didn't have thank God, I didn't have a house. I had a loan. Um, yeah. So, been there, done that. I said, best case scenario is a shop like mine that's set and running and go, and you could probably make more money. I'm hardly open. If you open 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, and you worked it yourself, you could probably make more money. How did I get started in the aquarium hobby? Oh, that's a good question. That's another thing I always think about doing. I always said I should write a book, how to open up a fish store for dummies. um, oh, God, 48 years roughly in it. Well, back in the day, um, we didn't have video games. We didn't have anything. You had 3 channels on a TV. I was the remote. We had hobbies. We had model cars, Lincoln Logs. Legos came around, which was really cool. We played outside. I liked stuff. I always liked animals. My sister's 8 years older than me. We had a dog. I ended up with a cat at one point. She would have breeding project hamsters and stuff like that. So, and my parents are from West Virginia, so I have relatives West Virginia, Pennsylvania, whatever, hunting, fishing, all the outdoor stuff. So I did. I had like goldfish in a bowl. That was the beginning of it. I had an aunt and uncle that was in Brunswick, which was south from here, and Brunswick is nowhere near what it used to be. It was all land and ponds and ride dirt bikes and go karts and go fishing and catch frogs and turtles with my cousins, and they had a fish tank. I think the shop was called Birdhouse in Brunswick by Kmart back in the day. Uh, they started with one tank, then they had a couple tanks. I go stay with my cousins on weekends and go play whatever and go fishing, play in the ponds. Um, yeah, we built forts, played tag, all that stuff. Played hide and seek. Um, yeah, rode our bikes. I'd leave in the morning, put my fishing pole on my bike, meet my friend Tony, and we go all day. I'd be gone 12 hours. I went long. I'd get home before the lights. You always see those memes, whatever. Be home by the time the lights come on. I'd be gone. I'd be miles, like the Metro Parks going to the Parkway, and we just find little deep fishing holes in the creek, and I'd catch stuff and bring it home, bass, baby bluegills, whatever. So I got my first. So I had goldfish. My aunt and uncle, I loved the fish tank. They had a breeding pair of cribensis. They had serums in a 75-gallon tank on the living room next to this chair. And at night, when I stayed over there on the weekends or something, I'd just sit there and just like, this is so awesome. This is great. This is like another world, underwater world. I was memorized. And they ended up with a few tanks. They had dogs. They used to breed huskies. They had like 13 huskies. They had a couple acres, fenced in land. They had a parakeet, I think, and a finch. They were animal lovers. So, morning fish, folks. Cheryl, people jumping on. Kind of late. Um, so, I was intrigued, and I was just in awe of the aquarium. And I got my first tank when I was 10 years old from Woolworths. Some of you people might know, younger generation don't know what Woolworths are. They were like a grocery department with stores. They had a pet department. A lot of places had pet departments back in the day. Even Gold Circle, Kmart had a pet department. They'd have basic stuff like goldfish, guppies, convicts, angels maybe, parakeets and hamsters and gerbils, stuff like that. Little pet departments. So Woolworths had a metal light thing with an incandescent bulb and a box filter. I was at Southland, Middleburg Heights, was the Woolworths. And we go eat at the counter. My mom, my dad worked at Chevy. I was the youngest. The brother was, I don't know. He ended up in the Navy. My sister went to college. She was 8 years older. My brother was 10 years older. But I'd have grilled cheese with bacon. Bacon wasn't the normal thing. I had grilled cheese and french fries, but I always get bacon on it. It was my go-to thing when Mom would go shopping at Woolworths. I'd go to the counter or whatever, or the little booths, and you could eat there. It was a little thing. So then we had a couple at our church in Cleveland. Mr. Sneed. No, not Mr. Sneed. He's my teacher. Mr. Loudermilk. And he ended up having fish, and he bred like guppies and stuff. And so after church one Sunday, we went to his house to see his fish tanks. I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world. Went in the basement. Everything was on tables. Like just fold out like 8-foot, 6-foot tables or something. He had 5 and 10-gallon tanks. A lot of them like metal frame, the old metal frame tanks. 5 and 10-gallon tanks. Just, I don't know, 20, 50 of them. I don't know. Just tanks. And little bubblers, little box filters, each one. He was breeding guppies. I think he had swordtails. And I'll never forget, he had like a 5-gallon tank, saltwater. Little 5-gallon tank with this light on it, fluorescent light or something on it. And it had that one thing, a Candelactus pink tip anemone. This one little anemone. That's it. And this little 5, maybe it was 10. I could have swore it was just a 5 gallon and just a pink tip anemone in there. That's it. And I was like, that's real. Like this is amazing. Um, so I was hooked. I wanted. I had a 10 gallon. I went through trials and errors. I go to Vice City. Nobody knew shit. I one time got this uh, puffer, and it's a brackish saltwater fish. I didn't know this. Nobody knew. It was Vice City had a pet department, and I had angels, and I think I cried the next day because I woke up and all my angels' fins were all chewed off. Everything was nipped up. I'm like, there's a spotted puffer, green spotted puffer. They're common, and you know, nobody knew anything. And I'm gonna call my aunt and uncle. They come and get the fish. I give it to them, whatever. So it was all trial and error. Nobody knew shit. I had TFH magazines. I still have them all from the entire 80s, maybe 79, 80, all the 80s, good part of the 90s. That was the go-to magazine. And Heiko Blair just passed away early in the week, last weekend. He was one of the originals that a lot of fish, rainbows, tetras, a lot of fish are named after this guy. He traveled the world going to remote places to look for new fish, undiscovered species, fauna, and all kinds of stuff. He was kind of wild. I almost was about to book a trip with him to Brazil, a collecting trip. He was kind of out there. He's 81, passed away. So, yeah, sad thing. He was a pioneer, and I remember him on magazines. I still have that black. The TFH magazine was thin, nothing big, and he's on the front cover with a net in his like speedos. I got that magazine somewhere. I remember that magazine, and like Discovering Discus and stuff. Axelrod and him were probably the two pioneers for the fish hobby. So yeah, and at 12 years old, my grandfather passed away, and we came home, and all my fish died. They're all dead. We were gone for 3, 4 days. I don't know if the heater went. They were old heaters that you clamp on, and the dial just went everywhere. You didn't know. I don't remember. And my tank was doing great. This 10-gallon tank was doing awesome. I think I had the angelfish. I always liked the angels. And a 10-gallon tank, tetras, I don't know what else. And there was a whole lot of variety back in, early 70s maybe. And they were all dead. And I cried. I was like 12 years old. I was so bummed. And so my parents went to the store and bought me a 20-gallon high. Old wood grain frame. And I was like, this is great. I got this huge 20-gallon tank. So I had that set up and the 10-gallon on metal frame stands. All that was available was just wrought iron stands. And yep, and I had red and black gravel in it. I think plastic plants. Didn't have live plants then. Early on with live plants, they died. There was no. We didn't have the lighting. We had incandescent lighting, then fluorescent, but nothing was advanced what it is today. And had angels. I think they had common stuff. Eventually, I had a prawn in there named Murdoch. That Christmas, I got a 55-gallon delivered Christmas morning. I just talked to my mom about that. She don't know what my dad paid to have. Tony was the owner of the Dr. Pet at the mall. Dr. Pet. And I lived in that place. My aunt, my mom, when that opened up in the wing of the mall, and they'd go shopping for a couple hours and left me. I wouldn't even go to the arcade. I would sit in that pet store and just look at the birds, the fish, the reptiles, just stand around looking. And Pat was there working. And memories, red hair, young guy, going to school to be a doctor, I think. And he's the one delivered that tank that Christmas morning. It was 55-gallon with under gravel filter. That was like the newest, best thing in the world. And blue gravel. I was sitting on the couch. My dad sitting at the door. We're supposed to go to my aunt's to eat, whatever. And I'm like, let's go. I'm just, blah, blah, blah. Want to go. I'm sitting on the couch. And someone, I guess, pulled up. My dad's sitting at door waiting, like we're waiting for somebody or something. It didn't make sense. So this is all a surprise. And paper bags. And there's comes in. My brother grabs the bag and puts it in front of me. I look in it, and there's 5-pound bags of blue gravel, dark blue gravel. I'm like, what? And I jump up, looking, and here I got a 55-gallon with a wrought iron stand coming. I had to get rid of my water bed though. That was the deal. To have a bigger fish tank, this massive, giant, huge 55-gallon tank. I had to let go of my water bed. It was too much weight. They were worried, whatever, this and that. So the water bed, I had to get rid of the water bed, and I got like a single twin bed, whatever, normal bed. So I was like, all right, I just want that fish tank. And of course, I wasn't hungry anymore, and I didn't want to go to my aunt's. I wanted to set up my fish tank like now. So, yeah, good old days. And after that, man, I just picked up steam. I'd pick up tanks in the garbage. Somebody would give me a tank, and I I think convicts and Molly's breed. So I had babies. Just anybody that knows has been in this. It's just like snowballs. Then you end up with 600 tanks and 39,000 gallons going on a business. And yeah, and then Petland opened up in my city, and at the shopping strip, and I went there like every freaking day, rode up my bike, and I ended up getting a job. It was a year they were open. That's why I got my first discus. I killed more than I kept alive. Wild discus. Everything was wild. Brown, heckles, blue face, green face. So, and I ride up there all the time. And I think Will was the manager. Jim and Carol and her sister were the owners. And he was accountant by nature. Opened this big fancy pet store, dogs, the whole 9 yards. And I lived in that fish department in the back. You walked around it, whatever, and they had 40 breeders, 100 longs, all decorated, all underground filters, and it was like they had salt water, and it was like stuff I've never seen before. I ended up applying. They were gonna hire. Came down to somebody I know. He was pissed. They worked him one day and worked me one day as like a tryout, and they ended up hiring me. I wasn't 16 yet. I was like 15. Not quite 16 or something, and it was just like weekends, because I was in school. And then I got in a work program, and I got out of school at like 10:25 one semester, and then 11:25. I was like, screw school. I want to go make money and play with the animals and birds and reptiles and fish. So yeah, I would get out early and go work all the time as much as I can. So yeah, and I end up getting the African cichlids. I had a neighbor had African cichlids, gave me a couple cichlids, a Rhodus and an electric blue male. I was like, whoa. I was like, I wasn't working at Petland then yet. So I was 13, 14, probably when I got introduced to African cichlids. And then I was hooked, line, and sinker. I wanted every African cichlid in the world. I was sneaking in tanks. I had 33 tanks. My parents were about ready to kill me. My mom would be at church, and I'd set up a tank somewhere, hide it underneath, because everything was metal stands. I'd take the smaller tank out, put a bigger one in. So I was always upgrading, always getting more, and I kept breeding more. Started breeding. I got, my first Vertosa, I was like 15, and a Lupi, I think, or something. And I love Vertosas. I thought that was cool. The striped fish gets a big bump on his head. I had piranhas, but I got big in the Africans. I was breeding Burchardii. There was no daffodil. It was just regular Burchardii and Mallory, pretty much. I was breeding the Julies. Then I got in the Tropheus, breeding Mazwa. Or they weren't Mazwas then. They were just regular Tropheus with the white band. And I started selling back to the shop and left there after 88. Started working in another one in a greenhouse. I was there a total 3.5 years. Summer I'd work construction, factory jobs, whatever. So fast forward at 22, I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't do construction. I don't want to do factory work. And I'm not much for school. I like Three Stooges, karate, Bruce Lee, and fish and animals. So I'm like, I'm going to go in the maintenance business. And started a maintenance business. and had a business line at my brother's spare room in his house in Cleveland, little yellow page ad, and I just sat there waiting for the phone to ring. I had a couple maintenance to do, somebody I knew in their shop or something, and I get some business here and there, and I'd go to the store and buy the stuff for the people and not make any money. And it came to the point like, well, I need to buy the tanks and sell all the stuff with it. I'm like, this $30, I'm not, I gotta make, my dad thought it was crazy starting a business, fish business. He'd think I should work at Chevy or, one of the auto plants or something. And I'm like, man, I don't want to do that all day, every day. I'm like, I'm like, if I make enough money, just he's like, yeah, what are you gonna do for hospitalization and whatever retirement? I'm like, I don't know, Dad. I'll figure it out. As long as I make enough money, pay the bills, I'll enjoy what I do, whatever. So, and you could just buy anything. You had to have a physical store, all this, stuff that legitimate, actual store, business line, and I'm like, shit. So I didn't want to own a retail store. I knew just working in the industry for 7 years, that I'm like, what a pain in the ass, employees and the cost and whatever. And I'm like, I just want to breed and do maintenance. And but I needed to make more money for the future. So I ended up having my first pet shop when I was 22, a full line pet store. Not dogs really. My sister had puppies, schnauzers I'd sell, but that was it. Kittens and reptiles and small birds and reptiles, and the fish was half the business. Everything else was the rest. And that was a learning lesson for 2 years. So failed that one. My dad's like, get out. You're digging yourself a hole you're not gonna get out of. You need to cut your losses, and I just paid my bills. It was hard. My maintenance was growing though. I started getting more and more maintenance counts. Got into custom acrylic tanks, leasing, and so the maintenance service was growing. So yeah, I had to get going. Holy crap! This is way too long, but you get me jibber jabbering. I always said I should write a book, or maybe I'll do the YouTube in chapters. Do my story on YouTube from beginning to end. Thought about I got it in my head, but maybe write it out and video it. Not live, and chapter of being a fish geek, fish guy, fish dude, fish pimping, whatever. So I don't know. A lot up in here. I know it's gonna go in a few years, getting older. So anyway, all right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. I should be back on Tuesday. I might get my garage door done, so I might be late coming in. We'll see what happens. But thanks for hanging out. Like, subscribe, share, hit that thumbs, or give me the middle finger, or whatever you want to do. I don't know. I don't care no more. But have a good weekend. Stay safe. I'm out. Bye.